Fans to Tuesday Night Pokemon here at the Forge. I'm John Cleveland, joined by my friend Tom. Tom, commenting tonight, looking for a lot of fun, eh?
Yeah, absolutely. Going to be a good night. We have a bunch of players out there, and we got our first round players here on stream getting ready to go. We have Caitlin on the left and MJ on the right.
Caitlin playing Charizard normally on these Tuesday night games?
I believe so.
But MJ playing something a little bit more spicy. We might see Earth Seal Stone being used.
So the lesser of the Seal Stones, but still a very cool card.
I think he might have a challenge with that if we're only playing one Arceus over on Caitlin's side, but I'm interested to see how it works out. Last time we saw MJ on stream, he absolutely cleaned up with his unique Jolteon. I told him I would pump him up here a little bit on the stream. He's just a great guy to talk to.
Yeah, very cool. And I think he's on that Jolteon deck still, right, with the Earth and Seal Stones.
The goal there being to split beam or some attack like that. Does 100 damage to 2-bench Pokemon?
Yeah, so it does 100 damage to the active and then 100 damage to anything on the bench that is damaged. So a lot of these decks these days playing that Manaphy, which is the bench barrier, blocks bench damage, but I assume MJ has a few ways in his deck to get around that, potentially some canceling clones, other cards like that, or just Lost City the Manaphy early and make sure it never gets back into play.
And Energy Acceleration, not really a big deal for MJ because he's playing the Elemental badge.
Yeah.
Something you don't see that often other than, what is that, EV decks?
Yeah, absolutely. So it lets Jolteon, Flareon, or Vaporeon attack for 1 less energy, and Jolteon's attack only attacks for 2. So now they attack for 1 energy, and which makes it really cool. Enables some Cheryl plays. Cheryl allows you to heal all of your evolution Pokemon that have damage counters on them. Then you discard all the energy, but if you only attack for 1, you can Cheryl, power it right back up.
It doesn't matter.
Very cool. But actually, it looks like Caitlin on the left switching things up tonight. Instead of that Charizard deck, she's playing this Miraidon deck. Now, Miraidon has the ability to swing pretty hard in the early turns and to get up to big damage utilizing that Raichu V, but these Miraidon decks don't normally play a Manaphy, which means that the bench damage that MJ wants to be doing is going to be working all game.
Yeah, typically Caitlin would want to see that Raichu coming in the late game. It's not the best start, but she's doing what Miraidon does best, getting it on the bench. And then Miraidon's going to go get a bunch of friends. Absolutely.
Miraidon is one of those cool cards where you don't have to play a lot of searching cards in your deck because the Miraidon EX's ability does all of that for you. You find one Miraidon and you can basically fill up your entire bench using every Miraidon to find another Miraidon, to find even more electric attackers or lightning attackers. And actually the funny thing about starting that Raichu is, although it's something that takes a while to power up and do a lot more damage with, it does have that fast charge attack, which means she can attack on her first turn going first, just enabling her to attach another lightning energy for turn, essentially.
So going first, what you want, if the Raichu leads, Tom, you're saying that she can actually use that ability, not to do any damage, but to get that Raichu charged up, grab that energy from the deck, get the acceleration going, and then go from there.
Absolutely. And
fleet-footed on the bench, the Mareep coming down, getting ready to, again, accelerate more energy.
So it looks like Caitlyn has used 2 tandem unit abilities now, just leaving that one bench space open. Potentially, maybe she's going for a Squawkabilly play here, or just leaving that bench spot open so that she has options going into her next turn.
I hope she looked through her prize cards and realized that she has a Squawkabilly in those, or excuse me, looked through her deck to see the Squawkabilly was prized.
Absolutely. Now, MJ on the other side, a little bit of a tough start, starting that Hawlucha, which is a card that he wants to play down from hand on his first or second turn. Not a card that you want to start, but I'm sure he has ways to recycle it and use it again. And he does have a Nest Ball in that hand, so it looks like at the very least he'll be able to get a Jolteon V out on his first turn. Caitlyn retreating out of that Raichu with that escape rope. Well, not a retreat, using escape rope to get out of that Raichu and use that fleet-footed ability to draw just one more card. And now we go over to MJ's side of the field.
Nest Ball going down. What do you think he's looking for? Getting that Jolteon?
I think you got to go for the Jolteon. Unless his hand is in a tough spot and he plays Squawkabilly, I'm not entirely sure what his list looks like. I saw a lot of energy in that hand, an electric generator, and maybe a Boss's Orders. I'm not sure if I saw a
Miraidon.
That seems very good. Find one electric or one lightning Pokemon that finds you too. But he's got 2 Nest Balls in that hand. And so before utilizing that tandem unit ability, can go search for another Pokemon with that Nest Ball. And Greninja, a great card here.
So it looks like right now MJ is sort of getting the foundation of his Jolteon attack down. Right on to go find some friends. Radiant Greninja has the Concealed Cards ability, where you discard 1 energy, then you get to draw 2 cards. Energy recycling in MJ's deck. If he puts them in the discard pile, how's he getting them back?
I wonder if he plays Super Rods, maybe Energy Recyclers, Claras, maybe to get those Hawluchas back along with some energy. And now a couple of interesting cards coming down on MJ's side of the field. His hand is looking a lot better than I thought it was. That supporter in hand is actually a Professor's Research, not a Boss's Orders. He's got an Electric Generator and Lightning Energy in hand, so he's going to be drawing a ton of cards here, concealed cards, Professor's Research, Electric Generator to attach more lightning energy. And now we see this Magnezone V coming down,
which has a lot of snipe damage too. It seems to be a snipe deck built by MJ.
Absolutely.
For those who are not 100% as fluid in Pokemon as Tom and myself, Professor's Research, a card that allows you to discard your hand and then draw 7 cards. If you get that down to the last card in your hand, you can still play it. It doesn't really cost you anything, and then you get to see 7 new cards, a huge draw supporter just to give you more options. So see what MJ chooses to do here. We still have not attached an energy. I think he's thinking about it.
Yeah, I think this is the Electric Generator here going off. Found 1 energy off of those top 5 cards. Going to choose to attach it to that Jolteon V. Shuffle those cards back into the deck. And I think the rest of his hand is just energy in that Professor's Research you were talking about.
Is that Hawlucha going to die?
I think that Hawlucha is probably going down.
Hawlucha, we hardly knew ye. Waiting to see what MJ does to wrap up his turn. Got a pretty full bench. We're not going to have a turn 2 win for Caitlyn quite yet. Get it mixed up, see what he does.
One interesting thing here, you were talking about the Earth and Seal Stone earlier, and that Earth and Seal Stone, depending on what Caitlyn finds, on her next turn, can do a lot of damage for MJ in this matchup. That Raichu V and the Raikou V only have 200 HP each, and that Earth and Seal Stone takes V Pokemon on your opponent's side of the field and puts them down to 100 HP remaining. All of them. And that means that if she chooses to bench another Raikou or Raichu, that's all 6 of MJ's prizes right there on the field. Now, he's...
Ideally, MJ right now would be looking to get that Raichu. Keep it where it is. Keep Fleet-Footed guy whose name's escaping me right now.
The Raikou.
Thank you. Yeah. In the active, use the Earth and Seal Stone, one of which is prized, and then use the Jolteon attack to take them both almost completely out. That Hawlucha would have been really useful, though, to do that last little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, MJ, off that Professor's Research, found a very good hand. He's got a Lost City, Ultra Ball, and the Magnezone V-Star,
and
as well as the Elemental Badge. Yeah, so MJ is going to have this Jolteon VMAX ready to go next turn, pending any hand disruption from Caitlyn's side of the field. But what MJ really needs is another Hawlucha. I don't know how many he plays in his deck or what he has in that deck to be able to recycle this active Hawlucha. But he's going to need to use that before he starts attacking with that Jolteon VMAX to get the full bang for his buck out of that VMAX attack.
I did play MJ with this deck a couple weeks back, and I did exactly what Caitlin was doing, asking to see what his cards do, because this is not a deck that you see very often, and it's very cool to see it work well, because you're not expecting this. This is not a meta deck that you see.
Absolutely. And we see this Jolteon V with the Elemental Badge come to the active spot, and it's able to attack for free because of that Elemental Badge, and all it does is put 2 damage counters somewhere on your opponent's side of the field, and choosing to target down that Mareep. Now, that Mareep is a very important card in Caitlin's deck, evolves into the Flaffy, which once per turn can use its Dynamotor ability to attach a lightning energy from the discard pile to one of her bench Pokemon. And now that Flaffy only has 90 HP, and on the next turn, MJ's Jolteon VMAX is going to be able to snipe it and get rid of that valuable resource on Caitlin's side of the field.
Did see an electric generator coming down, didn't get any energy, got a preview of the Mareep.
Yeah.
The Flaffy, excuse me.
Definitely. It's kind of feast or famine with those electric generators sometimes. You can hit 1, 2, or you can be in the position where you hit 0. It's like when you hit 1, you're just happy you didn't hit 0.
You just did something.
Yeah.
All right.
Caitlin has a pretty good hand here still, has the Super Rod. I don't know if she'll really need to utilize that. Also, MJ doesn't have a massive hand, so I'm not sure if she wants the Iono here. She did have the research, but Iono I think is a good play as well. You don't really want to research away all of those resources that she had in that hand. You want to save those for later.
Iono, a Paldea evolved card that takes your hand, puts it to the bottom of the deck, and then you draw the number of prize cards you have remaining. Extremely powerful card against decks that have giant hands like Lost Box and what have you. Sometimes, though, you just need to see 6 new cards, and occasionally you hand your opponent better cards than they have in their hand. You don't know. Sometimes you just got to go for it.
Absolutely. That is the tough thing with Iono. It's like early game, your opponent might play their hand down to like 2, and then you got Iono back up
Congratulations
to 6,
on the 4 new cards.
Pretty bad, yeah. But one interesting thing here is it looks like Caitlin is playing the Path to the Peak version of this Miraidon deck. Now, some Miraidons have chosen to move away from that Path to the Peak build and play more beach courts, but this Path to the Peak won't shut off anything from the Jolteon VMAX. It does not have an ability, but it will shut down that Greninja, which MJ is going to be relying on a lot for a lot of the draw power of this deck. So that Path to the Peak is going to be a very strong card, I think, in this matchup, especially later when those Ionos start Ionoing MJ to 1 or 2 cards.
Well, we were talking about just feeling good if you get 1 energy off the Electric Generator, and there it is. Electric Generator allowing you to attach up to 2 energy that you see from the top 5 cards of your deck to your benched Pokemon. So a really good way to accelerate energy, if you get a little lucky, to your benched electric Pokemon.
Now, I haven't seen the rest of Caitlin's hand here, but because she whiffed that first Electric Generator and only hit 1 on this second, now it looks like she's got a 3rd in that hand.
She could attach from hand to the active.
She may have a tough time getting an attack off this turn, depending on what she hits off of this 3rd Electric Generator.
That's 3 Electric Generators. Let's see how it goes.
2 off it, so she is going to get the attack off this turn. Going to take the 1-hit KO on this Jolteon V with her Miraidon EX to be able to take the first 2 prizes of this game.
She's going to have a hard retreat into it, though, it looks like.
Yeah, but luckily that Raikou only has 1 retreat, so she'll be able to do that. And the scary thing for MJ is the way his deck is built. I don't think there's any way for him to one-shot the Miraidon EX, which means all that energy is going to stay in play, meaning that Raichu V just gets more powerful as this game goes on, and eventually we'll be able to take a big 1-hit KO on one of his VMAXs.
It's the punch you don't see. You're seeing that Raichu sit on the bench the entire time, maybe 1 or 2 energy attached to it, and then it comes up at the end of the game and does 350 damage to your active, and that's it. Those last 2 prize cards can really turn the game around. Path to the Peak going down, for those not aware, all rule box Pokemon. So V's, Radiant Greninja, no longer have any abilities. That is probably the biggest stadium card in the meta right now, because it just turns everything off.
Absolutely. And we see this Hawlucha coming down from Caitlin on her side of the field, going to put a damage counter on 2 of MJ's bench Pokemon, choosing to target down his Hawlucha, and it looks like...
Thinking about it. She's playing a Hawlucha. She's putting down 1 damage counter. What is the end game there?
You know,
I'm not seeing a lot of bench snipe on Caitlin's side.
I don't know. Maybe she will surprise us with something here.
I would love that.
The one thing coming out soon out of the new Pokemon 151 set is that Zapdos EX, which does 120 to the active and 90 to a benched Pokemon that has damage counters on it. And so some of these Miraidon decks are starting to play Hawlucha when that Zapdos EX comes out to utilize that Zapdos EX's attack more efficiently. But we go over to MJ's side of the field. I believe he top decked his own Hawlucha for turn, which means he's going to be able to get the
Is he
full
bringing
power.
everything in range? He's going to bring some stuff in range of that Earth and Seal Stone, it looks like.
Yeah. But
I'm excited.
he just attached the Choice Belt to this Jolteon, however.
Will that add more bench damage to it?
It does not. It only does more damage to the active V Pokemon. So it
Caitlin
looks like
doing what I do, checking what the heck this card does. It's kudos to MJ for putting together this deck. I've
Yeah.
never seen this before, and I've played it a couple times,
Yeah.
and it's just when it works, you're like,
Yeah.
what just
It's-
happened?
It's super cool. And I think MJ is in a favored position if he can start to get some of these threats off the board. And although that Miraidon is sitting there with 3 energy attached to it, that's not the main threat. What he really needs to be going after on this turn is that Raichu V and that Mareep to say, all right, Caitlin's already down 3 electric generators. She might have 1 Miraidon powered up, but I'm going to make sure that it's difficult for her to power up any more attackers the rest of this game.
I will say that Radiant Greninja being turned off by Path of the P2 is really kind of slowing down his draw power. He's got to find that Earth and Seal Stone. I hope he plays more than one because one's in the prize cards.
Yeah.
Should be grabbing it if he takes a prize here, but we'll see what he does. Another Hawlucha in hand too.
I was
Play
going to
some-
say, I haven't seen what else is in that hand, but that Hawlucha will at least help him be able to target down that Raichu V. And I think the best thing for MJ to do this turn, if he can't get this Miraidon out of the active, is to hit into the Miraidon, and it looks like he won't be able to, is to hit into this Miraidon EX and do damage to that bench Raichu V.
This Jolteon VMAX is going to be surviving this turn, I would think, unless that Raichu does something pretty amazing. The Mareep, though, didn't get the Flaffy out.
Yeah, and I think that's also a good call. That means that Caitlin's on 3 electric generators. It's going to be another turn where she'll have to bench another Mareep. She benches another Mareep. MJ has that Hawlucha in hand to just target it down again and take another prize and deny that extra energy acceleration from Caitlin.
Another option on Caitlin's hand, though, top decking Boss's Orders. Now you can kind of do whatever you want with your opponent's hand. It's a good feeling, but then you got to make
Yeah.
sure you make the right choice.
Yeah. Now, the tough thing for Caitlin here is with that Mareep gone and 3 electric generators down, she doesn't have a way to power up another attacker, and that Miraidon EX can't attack this turn. After that, Miraidon uses its attack. It cannot attack on the next turn unless it moves back to the bench and then back to the active position.
Not seeing any switching in her hand. Boss's Orders
Yeah.
could maybe boss something up just to delay.
Yeah. And that Magnezone V, I believe that has 2 retreats, so that's a good thing to potentially boss up and try to lock in the active spot. And if it does get locked in the active spot and MJ has no way to get out of it, that Miraidon's just going to KO it on the next turn as well.
1 energy attachment from hand coming out of the Raichu. I think we're seeing the Raichu get loaded up a little bit.
Yeah.
Any point, though, in retreating right now, that Miraidon? Or are you just going to wait for next turn?
I think you just got to let it take another hit. There's no way for MJ to get that additional 2 damage, 20 damage onto it to take the knockout on the following turn. The Choice Belt only does extra damage to V Pokemon. And I don't think he plays, well, he doesn't play the Radiant Alakazam to move damage around because he plays the Radiant Greninja.
It would be cool if you played 2 Radiant cards, but that's not legal.
That is
viewers.
not legal. We'd have to fire him.
It'd just be all Charizards. It'd
Yeah.
just be 60 Charizards
Yeah,
at that
yeah.
point.
Or like 4 Greninja in every deck, you know.
Well,
Concealed
there's
cards
a
every
reason
turn.
it's not legal.
Yeah.
I like that, though. We should come up with a no rules deck list to see how bad we can make a deck.
That would be pretty crazy.
All right, we got a Miraidon getting powered up over here on MJ's side.
I think attaching to that Miraidon kind of shows that MJ is sort of stuck here. Nothing really in that hand to do anything, and passing back over to Caitlin.
Oof.
And top decks that Professor's Research.
They're using the boss strategically, though. Locking that Magnezone in the active. He has no way to
Yep.
move it. Can't attach 2 energy to it. You just buy yourself some time.
Yeah.
And now it's Caitlin's turn. That worked out brilliantly.
Yep, and that Miraidon EX will be taking a knockout on this Magnezone V this turn, which means Caitlin's going to go down to 2 prize cards remaining at the end of this turn. And it's not looking great for MJ, but he's still in it. If she's never able to really get that Raichu V powered up to take the one-shot on the Jolteon VMAX, she has to find more Boss's Orders to take out that Miraidon EX on MJ's side of the field.
And there's still the specter that MJ finds that Earth and Seal Stone. Oh, actually, he did. He took it as a first from his prize cards. That could be interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, the only thing for MJ is he already has that Choice Belt attached to the Jolteon VMAX, so he's going to have to find another V Pokemon to use attached to each Pokemon. And
maybe this Magnezone will survive and he'll get lucky.
yeah,
I don't feel like it though.
I'm not sure this Magnezone's long for this
and
world.
there it goes.
Right to the discard pile it goes. That Miraidon EX taking the knockout. Caitlyn going down to 2 prize cards remaining. Now I don't see a boss's orders in Caitlyn's hand.
Did top deck an Ultra Ball. Could get rid of that Hawlucha and an energy maybe to go get a V Pokemon, get the Earth and Seal attached, and then be off to the races. I would love to see him take 4 prizes in a turn. It's hilarious when it works.
Yeah, it's very cool. But that Hawlucha is going to enable him, if he plays it down this turn, to KO that Mareep and do another 100 damage to that Miraidon EX.
So you think he should just take the prize cards now and hope he survives?
I mean, he actually has to KO this Miraidon with his own Miraidon, I think, this turn. Otherwise, Caitlyn has enough energy in play, I believe, to get the 1-hit KO on that Jolteon VMAX.
With the Raichu?
With the Raichu, yeah.
That is the late game hand that you didn't see. At a cup this weekend, one of the seniors won the game coming back from what looked like not a great hand. The actor was taken out, the Raichu came up, and that was it. That was the end of the game. It's a really surprising card in these Miraidon decks.
And the nice thing for MJ here is that Jolteon VMAX does have free retreat, but looks like he's just going to attack with that Jolteon. And this Jolteon only has 300 HP. This Raichu V does, is it 60 damage for each lightning energy that it discards? And there's already 5 in play.
Yep, that could be
now, Caitlyn does have to retreat out of this Miraidon, but she's got the energy attachment for turn.
I think she had a switch in hand as well.
Yeah, so I think that this could just be game here.
Throw it on the Zapdos for a little bit of oomph at the end there, too.
Yeah.
So everyone's aware the Zapdos that Caitlyn is currently holding, I believe, is the Pokemon Go one, where does your electric Pokemon do 10 extra damage.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just a little zinger.
Yeah, it fixes a lot of weird math, like Mute VMAX, for instance, has 310 HP. The Raichu, if you discard 5 lightning energy, does 300. That Zapdos just gets you right up to that.
A little bit of a push.
Yep.
All right. Pretty full hand cards right now. Kind of considering our options. I would think right now you would switch out of that Miraidon with the switch. Throw up the Raichu.
Yeah, I think she's just got game. She's just considering it here. Unless my math is off or I'm not seeing something, I think that Raichu should just be game.
3 energy on it now. The attack requiring 2 or 3?
Just 2.
Just 2.
She's got the rope and the switch in hand, but she definitely is going to want to use that switch.
Escape rope. Your opponent switches their Pokemon first, and then you switch your Pokemon. They do get to choose which one they switch out. A great switching card, but also great opponent control card. It just kind of throws them off a little bit.
Yeah.
Now, if you're playing Lost Box and your opponent's playing 2 Klefki, don't play Escape rope.
Doesn't really help you there.
It does not.
But she also has that Arven in hand, which if she doesn't have enough energy, she could just allow her to go find that 4th electric generator.
Yes, that is true.
But we see that escape rope coming down. MJ going to promote that Hawlucha.
Second sacrificial Hawlucha.
Yeah, and I wonder, maybe I'm doing some math wrong, but I think Caitlyn just had game there if she just played that switch card. Now she's giving MJ a chance. He's going to be able to take 2 prizes next turn on that Miraidon EX, and then all she has powered up is that Raichu V, and with that Miraidon EX, if that Miraidon EX goes down, that's 3 energy that are leaving play, and that really makes the Raichu V obviously do a lot less damage.
Every time I played Caitlyn, she's always been very kind. Maybe she's being very kind right now, something that we're not seeing through the camera that we're looking at. But she's not holding a boss's orders in hand. She's got the Arven to go get some tools, and Iono if she just wants to see some new cards. 2 new cards. Gonna wait to see the decision she's gonna make.
Now, because her own Hawlucha did do 10 damage to MJ's Hawlucha with its ability, this Raichu V only needs to discard 1 lightning energy to take the KO.
Caitlyn going to see 2 new cards. That Iono, because she has 2 prize cards remaining, her hand going to go to the bottom of the deck and then see 2 cards.
2 very good cards, Nest Ball and Professor's Research for the next turn.
So, Tom, right now you're MJ. You got 4 prize cards left to take. You think your opponent may have just maybe messed up some math. What are you looking for?
I mean, it depends on what Caitlyn decides to do here, but if she just takes the KO on this Hawlucha, I think you just hit into the Raichu and KO the Miraidon and hope that she doesn't find like one of the bravery charms. Now she has one prized, which would mean that if she doesn't find bravery charm, that Raichu V is going to get knocked out by the Jolteon VMAX's attack on the following turn after that.
We're playing all basic Pokemon. Bravery Charm does give 60 extra HP. So it makes those Pokemon just a little bit harder to knock out. And sometimes that's all it takes just for you to survive and win the game. Zapdos going to find that for the extra 10 damage.
I think that's the Zeraora.
It is.
Yeah, so the Zeraora is an interesting Pokemon. It has free retreat, so it's just something you can send up to retreat out of to reset that Miraidon EX's attack. But it's also very good into the Gardevoir matchup because its first attack does 30 plus 30 more if the opposing Pokemon is an evolution Pokemon.
Sure.
And Gardevoir already does so much damage to its own attackers with its ability that usually that 60 damage is enough to take the KO.
For new viewers, Gardevoir, a deck known for massive energy acceleration, but you damage your own Pokemon in the process. So that particular electric Pokemon, Zoroark, just does the last little bit to push it over the edge. An interesting choice, though. Free retreat, you think here just to reset that Miraidon ability?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thinking Jolteon VMAX going into active. Lots of stuff on it.
MJ is pretty lucky here. Depending on what the rest of Caitlin's hand looks like, I think he might be just in a position to win this game just by attacking twice with this Jolteon VMAX. Now, the thing is, Caitlin just needs an escape rope, a boss's orders, something like that, and she probably wins the game. She only needs to take one more prize card, and it's not too difficult for her to do that on that Hawlucha or the Radiant Greninja.
With the Path of the Peak still in play, that Radiant Greninja concealed cards does not work. So kind of what MJ's holding is what he's got to work with.
Yeah, and I'm seeing another Elemental Badge, a Nest Ball, an Ultra Ball, and it looks like a boss's orders of his own.
He needs that Earthen Seal Stone, though the Iono was actually pretty good. Put it back in the deck, so he's going to have a hard time seeing it. What MJ would need to do now is shuffle his deck and then just hope to get lucky.
So that Miraidon should go down on this turn, depending on what MJ decides to target, but he should be able to do 100 damage to this Raichu V, another 100 damage to the bench Miraidon. And as long as Caitlin doesn't top deck a boss's orders,
which is always fun when you do that.
Which is always top deck the card you need. Yeah, MJ is in a pretty good position to win this game in the next two turns because Caitlin has no way to one-shot this Jolteon VMAX now.
Give that Magnezone V, I would think, to do some splitting beam damage and someplace to attach that Earthen Seal Stone. You noted previously you can only have one tool attached to each Pokemon at a time, and there's no real good way to get rid of them unless you have something specifically for that.
Yeah. That Magnezone V Star also has a very good attack where it does, I believe, 180 damage, and you search your deck for 2 item cards. So a good way to find your electric generators and things of that nature. But I wonder if we'll see MJ play this boss's orders here, maybe to try to
there it is,
lock another Pokemon in the active.
Don't put up the Zoroark. All right.
Now, choosing to put up that Raikou V is interesting because depending on what's in Caitlin's hand, she will have to retreat it on the next turn, and if she's not able to retreat it, it's just going to go down to the damage from the Jolteon VMAX on the next turn.
Choosing to take out the Miraidon, though, I think a smart move. Get the prize cards when you can.
Very good play there. And really, I think the most important thing there is getting those energies off of the field, meaning Raichu V has really no shot of taking the one-hit KO on this Jolteon VMAX this turn.
All right, MJ right now, so he's got attacks that do splitting beams, and he's got 2 pretty squishy single prizers on Caitlin's bench. I think there's multiple win conditions now for MJ. He's making himself more options. That is pretty impressive.
Yeah, and if Caitlin's unable to find a Bravery Charm on this turn, that Raikou V is just going down no matter what.
This has been a really great game.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I like this.
Yeah, so Caitlin, with that attached for turn, going to retreat out of that Raikou V, and I think we're just going to see the professor's research here. She needs to find the Bravery Charm on this turn, otherwise I think that's going to be game.
Decks are looking pretty thin for both of our players here.
Getting to see 7 cards off of that research.
Boss's orders would be great for next turn.
Peak. No Bravery Charm, but the Force Seal Stone can find it. She can attach the Force Seal Stone to that Raichu V and use Force Seal Stone to find Bravery Charm if she's got one in deck.
Force Seal Stone is sort of a stand-in V-Star ability for any Pokemon. You can attach it to a V Pokemon and then go find whatever you need.
Yep.
It is the best Seal Stone.
It is,
but it's not the coolest Seal Stone. The coolest Seal Stone is definitely Earthen Seal Stone.
I agree. But It is the best Seal Stone. Just going into your deck and finding whatever card you need is never a bad thing.
No, that's why everyone loves Pidgeot EX. Whatever you need every turn.
Yeah. But with all these Miraidons running around, it's tough to play that bird that's weak to lightning.
Indeed. Miraidon 2, everyone's looking toward Miraidon with the new Zapdos in this upcoming Peoria tournament.
Yeah, absolutely.
Are you playing that, Tom?
I am not.
Will you tell the crowd what you'll be playing in Peoria in case someone watching happens to play you?
I actually don't know for sure yet. But
why is it Kangaskhan?
I wish it was Kangaskhan, but it's not going to be Kangaskhan.
You heard it here first. Tom is playing Colorless Lugia with Kangaskhan at Peoria, Illinois. So Caitlin going into her deck, her discard pile. I think counting how many supporters she's gone through, that's 3 electric generators at least.
If she can hang on for one more turn, she would be able to... shuffling this energy into this deck tells me that maybe she's going for that electric generator play off of this Force Seal Stone. She could use the Force Seal Stone. I just saw the Bravery Charm in there as well. She could use that Force Seal Stone to go find that 4th electric generator. If she hits 2 energy off of it,
how cool would that be?
It would be enough to win the game.
That would be so cool.
She could have won the game like 3 turns ago, but this works too, and this is a cooler way to do it.
This is a cooler way to do it. So what Tom is saying is if she goes in with Force Seal Stone, finds an electric generator, plays it, and then finds 2 energy off the top 5 cards of her deck, attaches them to her electric Pokemon, and then attacks with Raichu, she will win the game.
Yeah.
Which would be amazing.
Pretty cool.
All right, there it goes. I hope she's thinking
she has to win the game on this turn anyway. I don't know what I was thinking, because if she doesn't get the knockout on this Jolteon VMAX, the Miraidon can just go and KO the Raichu V. So
thinking
I'm
about
dumb.
it.
The Bravery Charm wouldn't have done anything. I'm stupid.
Tom, you're great.
But she's looking through her deck. Using that Forest Seal Stone allows Caitlin to search her deck for any card that she wants. It's got to be that electric generator.
That would be such a great end.
On that electric generator.
Already a great game. A couple of minor misplays, but 2 players that are just kind people.
I think she's got at least
Pokemon.
4 energy in there too. So I'm trying to calculate the odds, but who
Not
cares?
good. This is going to be great.
Soon. We're going to see it soon. Caitlin going to be able to play that electric generator, a very powerful card. Allows you to look at the top 5 cards of your deck and attach up to 2 lightning energy you find there to to your benched lightning Pokemon in any way you like. And we're about to see.
Come on, Caitlin. Oh, here we go. This is Pokemon.
Right.
This is just
generator.
great.
Look at the top 5.
Oh, it's off screen.
What do we see?
Did she find it?
1.
No, just one of them.
Oh no. I don't.
The math isn't quite. I mean, we could be wrong. We're looking at this from above, but
the math just unfortunately isn't there for Caitlin, and it just is for MJ because of his bench sniping capabilities. That Raikou V just goes down to the Jolteon VMAX, and that's the last 2 prize cards that MJ needs.
All right, Caitlin could still rely on a minor misplay from MJ. MJ knows this Jolteon deck better than anyone because he's the one that came up with it.
Yeah, very cool to see it in action. Would have been cool to see the Earth and Seal Stone go off.
Traditionally, electric Pokemon weak to fighting Pokemon, so it would have been cool to see like a Machamp in here, just a random.
So Caitlin gonna
choosing to switch that up at friendly local play, totally cool.
Yep.
Has she already attached return?
Yeah, she attached to retreat out of the.
I was hoping I just forgot that. So, Caitlin thinking hard. MJ cool as a cucumber. So if we're correct, 60 damage per discarded lightning energy, putting it at 240. Could be falling a bit short.
Just one short.
What is that Jolteon VMAX at for health?
300.
Oh, man. All right, conceding the game.
Yeah, well played by both players. I think a couple of different things that could have made this go just Caitlin's way. I think on that turn, when MJ, I believe, played the escape rope, she chose to send up that Raikou V. If she had sent up the Raichu and MJ had still attacked with the Jolteon, she would not have had to retreat, losing that 1 energy, and she still would have been at 5 on that last turn. But there's no way to know that because MJ could have retreated out of the Jolteon and KO'd the Raichu with his bench Miraidon. And then I think earlier in the game, Caitlin might have had the 1 shot on the Jolteon VMAX and chose to, I believe that might have been when she bossed up the Magnezone to stall.
Which was a great move.
Gave her
Great
a little
move.
bit extra
Bought her at least 2
time.
turns.
Yeah. So well played by both players. Two very cool decks, playing a lot of the same cards, but playing in a very different way. That Jolteon going after those bench snipes, and Caitlyn's deck kind of going for
The way
those
that game
fast,
ended, though,
yeah,
the way the game ended, just finding that 1 Electro Energy for game, that's
Yeah.
like the best of locals
Yeah.
Pokemon.
absolutely. That would have. I mean, we would have been going crazy. If
I
Caitlyn
would
had
have
gotten 2
lost my
energy off that
mind if
electric
that had been
generator.
pulled.
That
What a
would've
great
been
game
wild.
between these 2 competitors.
Yeah.
Tom will be back with an interview of Caitlyn, the winner.
Absolutely.
Cool. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to Tuesday Night League Night here at the Forge. We are here with our round 1 winner, MJ. MJ, congratulations.
Thank you.
Tell us a little bit about that Jolteon VMAX deck.
I think people who've been watching the stream regularly have seen it a few times. I seem to have better luck on stream than I do in general. But yeah, it's just trying to, I like the evolutions. It's the main motivation for trying
Yeah.
it in the first place, and it's just good at picking stuff down on the bench and just taking out smaller mons like the Mareeps.
Yeah, absolutely. And that ended up winning you the game. I think one of the biggest threats on Caitlyn's side of the board that John and I were talking about was that Raichu V. But because you were able to target down those Mareeps before they could turn into Flaffies, she was never able to get enough energy on board to take a 1-hit KO on your Jolteons.
Yeah. I think I gave away game promoting the damaged Hawlucha, but she didn't catch it. She only needed the 1 energy,
Yeah.
and she discarded 2.
Yeah, that and her Hawlucha had done that damage to your Hawlucha, and it would have enabled her to only discard 1 energy off of that Raichu. But ultimately, you coming out on top with a very cool deck. Now, we saw that you play the Earth and Seal Stone. It's probably the least played of the Seal Stones, but John and I were talking about it's probably the coolest one. How often do you feel like you get that Earth and Seal Stone playoff?
It's not very often. Like, the only time it's really even worth playing would be like against some sort of Arceus variant.
Yeah.
And then I'd need at least some of the pieces to fall my way.
Yeah.
It turns Arceus from a, moderately unfavorable matchup into a slightly unfavorable one, I'd say.
Yeah. Nice. Well, and you also play that Magnezone V-Star, so your whole deck is just bench snipe, which is pretty incredible. And I see you play those Lost Cities. Is that to deal with Manaphy's?
Yeah, mainly Manaphy, just any sort of one-of that I don't want to deal with.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, a very cool deck. Very cool to see it function and take this round 1 win. So congratulations, and hopefully we'll see you go 3-0 tonight with it.
Thank you.
All right.
Welcome back, Tuesday night Pokemon fans. We have a boring matchup, but also a very interesting matchup.
Boring matchup. It's
I know,
the mirror
it's a
match.
race. It is a race.
It
Mirror
is.
match. We've got Lost Tina versus Lost Tina.
Yeah.
Anthony versus William. Anthony, I think, new to the Forge Tuesday nights. Excited to see how he plays. William been out here a couple times.
Yeah, and looks like both players will have that Battle VIP pass in their opening hand. So I don't think, ideally, we're going to see a matchup where one player bricks, the other player just gets in the game, and it's
This is going to
just a
be
steamroll, so.
a twin turbo V8 versus a naturally aspirated V12. Fastest race you can possibly imagine. Who can get 10 in the
Yeah.
lost zone and get the other person, Tina, dead first?
Now, the funny thing is, William actually could have a little bit of an advantage here going second because these Lost Zone decks can attack with that Cramorant on turn 1 if they can get 4 cards in the Lost Zone, so he could go up a prize on his first turn, but he could forego that and choose to use Abyss Seeking on that Giratina V to get even more cards in the Lost Zone faster and beat Anthony to that 10 in the Lost Zone to be able to start using Sableye. And Anthony, having a tough turn there, he was able to get that Battle VIP pass and even use concealed cards, but no way to switch out of that Sableye. And Anthony ending turn 1 with 0 cards in the Lost Zone. That does not bode well.
That, other than just attach pass, that's about as bad as it
Yeah.
gets. For those who are not aware, both of these decks using the Lost Engine. Essentially, you get rid of cards in a strategic way, putting them in the Lost Zone, a place cards can never come back from there. And the more cards you have in the Lost Zone, using various abilities and cards and what have you to get them there, other abilities become unlocked.
Yep.
Those abilities being Cramorant can attack for no energy, doing 110 damage. The big one kicks in at 7, though, Mirage Gate, allowing you to attach 2 energy from your deck to your Pokemon any way you like.
Yep.
You gotta have 7 in the Lost Zone for that. And then at 10, my least favorite card in the entire meta, Sableye, becomes active. You can place 12 damage counters however you like for 1 psychic energy. And then in these decks, something that matters a lot, you can, Tom, take it away.
Yeah. Well, sorry.
10 in the Lost Zone.
10
Giratina
yes.
V-Star allows
so
you
that
to...
Giratina V-Star's V-Star attack Star Requiem just means you KO anything for a grass
That's
and a
it.
psychic energy.
It's just gone.
But you
Ooh,
have
plus.
to have a lot of skill to play these decks, to know what to Lost Zone, to have checked your prizes thoroughly, to make sure that you're not Lost Zoning anything that you're going to need later in the game.
Right.
And Williams starting out very strong, flower selecting, finding him, I believe, that flower selecting found that Colress. Colress's experiment looks at the top 5 cards of your deck. 2 go in the Lost Zone, 3 go into your hand. Forced to Lost Zone a Mirage Gate and a Sableye. Not 2 cards that you really want to Lost Zone here, but has that comfy switch card and an energy, meaning that he's going to be able to utilize this comfy that he just put on the bench and get even more cards into that Lost Zone, and then use that water energy to conceal cards and draw 2 more cards. So
The draw engine we saw from MJ's deck, allowing you to get rid of 1 card,
Yeah.
and then see 2 more. Finding some more draw support, though, in those Comfeys. Comfey has an ability, flower selecting. You draw 2 cards from the top of your deck, and you pick one of them you get to keep. The other one goes into the Lost Zone. You can get 3 of those going. Each turn, 3 cards in the Lost Zone. You're both seeing a lot of cards, and you're charging up your abilities.
Yeah. We see this Nest Ball from William here coming down, bringing that Cramorant out of the deck, and he already has a switch card to switch into another comfy. So all he needs is an energy, a switch card, something like that to retreat out of the second comfy after he flower selects to take a KO on Anthony's only comfy on the board. Anthony could be in a very tough position here if William finds what he needs off of this next flower
Switch
selecting.
card going into another Comfey. Question from the Forge: if these are twin turbo V8s and NA V12s, what deck is the equivalent of a Saturn Compact? That would be my favorite deck to play. It is going to be only Mimikyu. You play 4 Mimikyus and nothing else.
And William finding that energy off that second flower selecting, getting him to 4 cards in the Lost Zone, activating Cramorant's ability, which says if you have 4 cards in the Lost Zone, it can attack for 0 energy, does 110 damage, switches and
enough.
retreats out of that comfy, and KOs Anthony's only comfy on the board. Meaning Anthony is in a very tough spot. Nothing in the Lost Zone yet and no comfies to get there. But he does have that Colress's experiment to start building up that Lost Zone. And he can use this Abyss Seeking attack on that Giratina V to get even more cards in the Lost Zone. Abyss Seeking looks at the top 4 cards of your deck and puts 2 in the Lost Zone, 2 into your hand. And
That's
I
the end
think-
of your turn, though. That's
Yeah, but I think that's all Anthony has here. Going to use that Abyss Seeking attack, and it looks like some energy, a Nest Ball, Cleansing Gloves, not going to do anything for him in this matchup, so we're going to see those. Did he keep the Cleansing Gloves?
he did. He
I think that is just... That's just...
all right.
That's... So Cleansing Gloves means that your Pokemon do 30 more damage to Psychic Pokemon.
Probably going to Lost Vacuum it away, is the logic there.
I mean, yes, but these Giratina decks don't normally play Lost Vacuum. And he had Nest Ball and another Giratina V there. I think you just have to keep the Giratina V and bench it, because there is actually a chance that William gets that Giratina V-Star powered up and knocks out Anthony's only Giratina V.
Does he play a Super Rod, putting that energy back in the deck?
I believe so. I'm not totally sure.
So William right now, you see that Giratina get upgraded into a Giratina V-Star. Trying to get more cards in the Lost Zone. Gonna jet up a Comfey. Jet energy, if attached from your hand to a Pokemon, sends it into the active. So it's kind of like a free retreat, but you're sending something up instead of pulling something back.
It basically is a card that says you get to use 2 Comfies, because you get to jet into a Comfy, use this flower selecting, then retreat out of it with that jet energy into another Comfy and use another flower selecting. So very strong card for these Lost Zone decks.
Manaphy down. Manaphy, a card that protects your benched Pokemon from attacks from your opponent's Pokemon. So the Radiant Greninja does have an attack that does a lot of damage to bench Pokemon. Manaphy, though, would be useful that if William was not currently bench locked.
Yeah.
The one thing, though, that I don't like about Sableye is Manaphy does not prevent Sableye from just
Yeah.
setting damage counters on your Pokemon. Thinking a little bit, though, it looks like we've got 5 in the Lost Zone right now for William, or more.
I think William is just retreating out of that Comfy, gonna boss his orders up, probably Anthony's only Comfy again, and knock it out with that Cramorant.
Cramorant doing 110, not enough to take out Radiant Greninja. The Sableye not currently a threat because there's not 10 in the Lost Zone. But going to choose to remove it from the board. I think Anthony did have another Sableye in hand.
Yeah. So, an interesting play there. I think in that position, you just have to go over to after that Comfy, because it's the only draw engine that Anthony really has. And it allows him to build up his Lost Zone. If you can continue to target down those Comfies, it means that Sableye is never going to be a threat, because it's going to be difficult for Anthony to get to 10 in the Lost Zone. Now, off that flower selecting, Anthony forced to Lost Zone a Colress, which feels really tough.
Colress, the best straw support, and a really great way to put cards in the Lost Zone. You get to see the top 5 cards of your deck and then place 2 of them in the Lost Zone. So if you can get 3 Comfeys and a Colress down by, the end of your turn 1, you can be at 7?
Yeah.
Yeah, with the Lost
Did you
Vacuum
happen
too.
to see what card Anthony chose over that Colress? But a Nest Ball coming down here going to allow Anthony to get another Comfy on the field. Hopefully we'll be able to retreat or switch out of this active Comfy to use that second Comfy's flower selecting. He already has a Colress in hand, so maybe he was forced into a flower selecting decision of 2 Colresses. And then
at least the decision's made for you.
Take one, yeah.
Radiant Greninja going to get some more cards, though. Got the Mirage Gate. Going to be fired up here with 2 more in the Lost Zone. Could get that Comfey down. I'm not seeing...
And we're going to see this Colress that's going to get Anthony to 7, so that Mirage Gate will be live. And depending on what he has in hand, if he could get a Greninja play off this turn, he could start to catch up on that prize race.
Looks like we're choosing to keep a boss's orders, so you could chase down a Giratina later. I don't know. Tom, right now, you're Anthony. You're starting to rev up that engine for an analogy we've used so far a couple times.
Yeah.
I've used so far a couple times. You are seeing your Lost Zone build to 7. What are you looking to do?
I'm looking to use Radiant Greninja's Moonlight Shuriken attack here if possible, but I'm not certain that Anthony has the cards to be able to do that on this turn. He'd have to have a Water Energy in hand, plus that Mirage Gate. He just has the Mirage Gate and I believe a Jet Energy. So he will be able to attack with that Giratina on this turn.
Choosing to keep a Roxanne.
Yeah, definitely good for later in the game. But Giratina is not something I want to attack with here, because you know that William has his own Giratina on the bench there, and it can just come through and knock out your Giratina on the next turn.
It is a big hulking behemoth on the back that can, on the bench, that can take out anything that you put up. So you got to be careful what you put up there. Sableye not quite active yet. Needs
And
2 more in the Lost Zone.
We're just going to see a pass for turn back over to William. The Sableye is powered up, but like you said, Anthony needs 2 more in the Lost Zone to be able to use that Lost Mine attack. Very good concealed cards there for William, finding him that Colress for the turn.
It always feels good when you're playing the Lost Box that you flower select for a Colress. You're like, oh, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Path to the Peak in the hand of William. Path to the Peak, actually powerful in this matchup. It disables that V-Star ability.
Well, it doesn't disable the V-Star ability because it is just an attack, not an ability, but it does
Oh,
turn
really?
off your opponent's Greninja, yeah.
Tom, I learned something today. Thank you.
Yeah. But it is still very powerful, turning off your opponent's Greninja. Seeing those 2 cards off that Greninja is huge for these decks. And not having the Lost Zone, potentially very necessary resources, is good. Now, William has been put in a tough position twice now. Off of 2 flower selecting this game, he's seen a Water Energy and a Psychic Energy.
How many Water Energy do you typically play in this deck?
I believe it usually plays 3. I've seen him Lost Zone 1 Water Energy now and 1 Psychic Energy. So still plenty of energy left in the deck to attack with. And I think we're just probably going to see him attack with Cramorant again here. There's no reason to put that 2 prize liability in the Giratina into the active spot. But if he could get a Moonlight Shuriken play off this turn from that Radiant Greninja, I think there's just no coming back for Anthony there.
Would you take 2 Comfeys or a Comfey and Sableye, or how would you structure that?
I would take the 2 Comfies for sure. It's just it's very strong to take that draw engine off the board. And if you take out those 2 Comfies, Anthony has to have a Colress to be able to power up that Sableye's Lost Mine attack. But William, the next best thing, just going to be able to use Cramorant to take out that Sableye after utilizing that.
Everyone's so afraid of Tina.
Boss's Orders.
Cramorant seeming to be the hero of Williams' deck right now. 3 prize cards.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, if on Anthony's side of the board, he prized his Cramorant, and without getting to 10 in the Lost Zone, there's really no good way other than Sableye and Cramorant to deal with a Cramorant. You don't want to take out a Cramorant with a Giratina V-Star. It just isn't like a very good trade for you. And having prizes on Cramorant and not quite at 10 in the Lost Zone, Anthony doesn't really have anything to deal with that Cramorant.
Anthony, even though that Sableye was just knocked out and going to the discard pile, Super Rod taking it all and putting it back in the deck. And he can go get that Psychic Energy if he needs it, loading up that Tina. And he did have a boss that he grabbed at the last turn. We might see that Tina going down.
Yeah, I think so. I think we're going to see Anthony take out Williams' Giratina V-Star, but the question is it too late? Because the rest of the prizes that William needs to take are on the board. He doesn't have to put down another 2 prizes for the rest of the game. He can just utilize Radiant Greninja, Cramorant, and his own Sableyes to take the final 3 KOs.
A Lost Box player's favorite thing to see. You choose between a Battle VIP Pass deep in the game and something else.
Yeah, absolutely.
Battle VIP Pass can only be used at the start of the game on your first turn, so pretty useless at this point. But Jet Energy kicking up that Comfey.
Very strong Jet Energy for Anthony. They're going to get him to 10 in the Lost Zone, meaning that when he uses Boss's Orders, as we assume he's going to do this turn on that Giratina V-Star, he can utilize that Star Requiem V-Star power to
2 bosses in hand.
Yeah, but he can take the KO without Lost Zoning any of this energy on the Giratina, which is very strong for Anthony here, which means this Giratina is going to be able to attack twice without him having to Mirage Gate to it again.
Giratina, both of its attacks requiring you to get rid of energy in order to use them, so there's a price to pay.
But it looks like Anthony did decide to Lost Zone those energies to take the knockout here.
So if he can get a Mirage Gate to load back up that Tina again, could use that big V-Star attack, not ability.
Absolutely.
To take out anything else that William puts down. Taking 2 prize cards as well.
So I'm having a tough time seeing how many cards William has in the Lost Zone here, but I have to imagine with that Colress in hand and the Comfey in the active, he shouldn't have any issues getting to 10 this turn.
Any concerns, though, for these players about decking themselves out? Some Lost Box use that with the Kyogre play, but...
I don't think that's too much of a concern in this matchup. Usually they play 2 or 3 Super Rods. They can shuffle some cards back into the deck, and there's not really any way to mill your opponent with these decks. So it shouldn't be too big of an issue. Now, off this Colress, found Colress, Sableye, 2 Jet Energies, and I can't see what that 5th card is, but ultimately going to have to Lost Zone a Colress and a Jet Energy. Now, the question is, how many Colresses does William have left? Because Anthony has that Roxanne in hand. We saw him choose that over the Switch cart on, I believe, 2 turns ago. So Anthony can play that Roxanne on the next turn to shuffle William's hand into his deck and force him to draw only 2 cards. And if he doesn't have a lot of Colress left in deck, which I don't think William does, he could be in a position where he just can't draw the cards he needs to get an attack off on the next
Multiple
turn.
options in Anthony's hand, too. You've got the Roxanne. You've got the Boss's Orders, too. If William puts down a 2-prize liability on his bench, invite it up.
Yeah. So Anthony, I believe, has 11 in the Lost Zone. I think William is at 10 now.
I think that dice does say 10, yes.
Yeah. And with this Comfey, he's definitely going to be at least at 10, if not 11.
Flower selecting for Mirage Gate, choosing to put the escape rope in the Lost Zone. At this point, the Lost Zone is a moot point. You've got plenty.
Yeah.
Right now, those Comfeys are going to be used just for draw power to see the cards that you need to see. If you got too much energy in the discard pile, find yourself a Super Rod. Need to get something on the board, find a Mirage Gate or a Nest Ball.
So we see the Sableye and Mirage Gate in hand. So William is going to be able to use Sableye this turn. The question is, can he continue to string attacks together that he needs to win this game? The Sableye can KO a Comfy this turn and then maybe spread some damage out potentially across the other Comfy and the Greninja.
Comfy is 60?
70.
70.
Yeah.
So it's out of range for doing 2 with Sableye.
Yep. We see this Mirage Gate putting an energy on that a water energy on that Greninja, starting to prep that Moonlight Shuriken attack. But we're definitely going to see William go in with the Sableye here. And I have to imagine he's going to KO one of these Comfies and then spread the rest of those 5 damage counters out across the Comfy and the Greninja. One of the nice things that you can do is put 2 damage counters on your opponent's Greninja, which puts it in range of your own Cramorant.
Indeed it does. The Sableye, you could put 2 there or a little bit more if you wanted to use your own Radiant Greninja to take it out with another Comfey. This deck is interesting that it doesn't do a ton of damage, but you get to put it in a lot of interesting on the board in a lot of interesting ways.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, William did just concealed cards and found a Super Rod off of that, which is going to be very strong on his next turn because you have to believe that Anthony's going to want to KO William's Sableye here, and he already lost on his second Sableye, so he has to use that Super Rod on his next turn to recycle that Sableye. Problem is, we know Anthony is holding that Roxanne in hand, and that is going to shuffle William's hand into his deck and force him to draw only 2 cards. So Anthony's still in the game here. Drew Sableye or already had Sableye in hand, or drew it for turn. I'm not sure, but we could see Anthony start to utilize his own Sableye. Now, unfortunately for William, he decided not to spread those damage counters around from his own Lost Mine. He put them all in the Greninja. If he'd spread them, some of them onto the Comfy.
He actually put 60 in one of the Comfies and took it out.
Well, he did, but he didn't spread it.
Oh, even
to
thinner.
All right. Even further. If he had put 3 on Anthony's Comfy, that would have put Yes, it would have meant that with another Lost Mine, he could KO Sableye and Comfy on his next turn.
Roger that. Tom, I remember you playing Lost Box for a little while and then being like, I'm sick of Lockbox.
Yeah, it's a lot of thinking. It definitely wears on you after a while, just all of those micro decisions every single turn, making sure you know exactly how much energy is left in your deck before you play a Mirage Gate.
Arguably the most powerful deck still in the format until 151 comes out. The Roxanne, though, kicking William down to 2 cards in his hand. Anthony taking 6. Sort of like the poor man's Iono.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, even stronger than Iono in some situations, because Iono can only have you draw 2 cards as well, depending on where you're at in that prize race. And Roxanne always getting you to those 6, which is very strong for these Giratina decks. I didn't quite see what William got off those 2 cards, but he's going to need
the Psychic Energy and Path to the Peak.
Yeah. So Psychic Energy means that Greninja can utilize concealed cards. It's a retreat out of a Comfy if you just have to attack with Cramorant. Well, concealed cards is offline now that Path to the Peak is in play.
So right now Anthony's strategy was get him down to 2, prevent him from drawing cards with Radiant Greninja, and hope.
The nice thing for William here, though, is he still has that Cramorant on board, so he can retreat out of this Comfy. And
Super Rod allowing him to put himself back in the deck, too.
Very good draw for turn. Gonna see this Comfy Nest Ball, Heavy Ball. Definitely got to take that Nest Ball. The Super Rod can put that Sableye back into your deck,
and then go get it with Nest Balls.
Yep. But he's gonna have to use that Psychic Energy he has in hand to retreat out of this Comfy and KO the Sableye with Cramorant. He has to KO the Sableye this turn.
Just out of range.
He can't just let Anthony keep using that Lost Mine over and over.
Indeed. So you're thinking put a little bit on Sableye, take it out, and then put the remaining on.
Well, I think he's going to have to KO it with the Cramorant this turn, just given what's in his hand. And that's the nice thing about having that Cramorant still in play. It's just an easy retreat out of a Comfy. And use that attack for no energy. William trying to decide whether or not to play that Super Rod yet. I think you just hold on to it. Anthony already played that Roxanne. You hope he probably only plays 1 Roxanne. He might play an Iono, though, as well. So it's tough to know whether or not to play that Super Rod here, but probably a good choice to do it now.
Might be setting up for Mirage Gate onto Radiant Greninja as well.
Yeah.
Options.
Yeah, absolutely.
Lost Box. Always options.
If he finds a Mirage Gate, that's just game. He knows that he might know that he has that Mirage Gate in the prizes, and that is the next prize card. I think I'm trying to look at the angle of it. Is that the next prize card he's going to take, or the last prize card he's going to take?
So with the Mirage Gate, able to take that energy that it needs to put it on the Radiant Greninja to use its spread, put 90 damage kind of wherever you'd like as an attack. Using Cram though to take out the Sableye. Going down to 1 prize card.
Bidding innocently to take that knockout on the Sableye.
William winning the race a little bit. I was kind of hoping it would just be a Tina slugfest, but I was wrong.
Yeah. And we see Anthony here with a pretty good hand. He's got the Super Rod. He's got Cross Switchers, which are also very good. And that Tina, although the cards are kind of piled up, that Tina can still use its V-Star power. So he does have an attacker here on this turn, but he's got the Mirage Gate as well. The question is, does he have the energy he needs to power up that Greninja? And not quite. He's only got 1 energy in that deck.
He had a Jet Energy in hand. He could maybe shoot it up into the active.
And he did have Super Rod too. He could have reloaded that deck a little bit, but he can attach for turn onto that Greninja and Cross Switcher to switch out of this Comfy. And he's going to
draw the Sableye. Sableye 80 health. Radiant Greninja's attack doing 90. Setting up Tina though. Does he have any energy attached to that Tina right now?
He does. He has a Psychic and a Grass attached to that Tina, so he can still use that Star Requiem attack, and I believe that's what he's done here to knock out that Sableye. And now Anthony's kind of saying, I have game in hand if William doesn't have a Manaphy or a way to take a knockout this turn.
All right. Let's see what William does here. That was 2 energy, it looked like.
Yeah.
Putting a Grass energy. Very valuable in this matchup normally.
He's got to go get the Manaphy if he needs it. I don't think he lost zoned it. He did have it in deck earlier.
Take a peek. Looking for the
Manaphy. Does
Manaphy.
he see that play? And he does bring that Manaphy to the front. Means that Anthony will not have game next turn. He would have to find a Sableye.
Thinking about it. I think it's the only... I could have grabbed Tina, but grabbing the Manaphy. Manaphy's Wave Veil, preventing that Moonlight Shuriken from doing the 90 to the benched Pokemon. Yeah. So you can only do 90 to the active. Jet Energy, send up a Comfey. Seeing 2 more cards. Deck getting really thin.
2 VIP passes. Not what you want to see here.
An easy choice, but still not a good one.
Choice. Yeah.
I could not imagine playing this deck for 9 games over the course of 1 regional. Yeah, best of 3.
That's tough. Now the question is here, does William even bother to attack with this Cramorant here? I don't think there's any reason to. I think you just end the turn by using that 3rd flower selecting.
Choosing to hard retreat, getting rid of that Jet Energy. The only way to recover that energy, special energy, Roxanne's backup. I don't think any Lost Boxes ever played a Roxanne's backup, or ever should.
But Water Energy and Guillotine, I think that's Guillotine, yeah, found off of that flower selecting. So that Water Energy would be able to help power up that Moonlight Shuriken attack, but really what William needs is a boss's orders, an escape rope, something.
Not a Battle VIP pass. Not a Grass Energy.
Yeah, but now the question is, does Anthony have a way to find Sableye? And it doesn't look like he does right now, but he needs to find Sableye to win this game on this turn.
Come on, Flower Select for the Sableye.
Yeah, and he has that escape rope. He could hard retreat out of this Giratina V into Comfy, but he just attached for turn, so that the Sableye is not going to be an option now.
Gonna be...
just using... No,
what?
I think we might need to go pause this game quick.
Oh. Tom,
okay, so
game.
William ended up winning that game with the...
I don't know. We're gonna have to wait for the interview because that game was technical. And drawn.
That might be a game loss for both of them.
All right, very good. Right back with Tom doing the interview with either Anthony or William or both. Thanks for watching. We'll be right back.
All right, welcome back. Just had to clear that up quick. I didn't see that William top decked the Mirage Gate that he needed to finish powering up that Radiant Greninja. And so Anthony attacked with that Giratina V-Star to take one prize, but William only had one prize remaining. Anthony didn't have Manaphy on the board, and William just needed to find a Mirage Gate to power up that Radiant Greninja to take the final KO. And he top decked it for the turn, played it down real quick, so we didn't quite see it. But William did end up winning that game with that Radiant Greninja, and we'll be back here shortly with our winners interview. All right, welcome back here to Tuesday Night League at the Forge. We have our round 2 winner, William here. Congratulations on winning round 2.
Thank you.
We have a comment here in chat because we all got confused. Rex Celeste is asking, did William double manual attach? But no, you just top decked the Mirage Gate for the game.
Correct.
Pretty crazy. What a top deck.
Basically, the answer I needed, there was only, after looking at the end of the game, there was only 2 at the bottom of the deck. That's why I haven't seen one all game.
Yeah. Very cool. Very cool to see this match go that way. It's an interesting mirror match. You're both kind of, usually you're using those Giratina V-Stars, but in the mirror match, you're really more relying on the Cramorants, the Sableyes, you don't really want to put those 2 prizes in play. And we actually saw there once Anthony got that KO on your own Giratina V-Star, you never even bothered to put another one down.
No
reason to.
It's no reason to set the second prize attacker out once the first one's knocked out. You force the single prize attack throughout the whole game.
Yeah.
And that's why I prized the damage left over when I knocked out the Comfy onto the Greninja. That way, if I can Greninja end of game, I could get 2 prize cards instead of 1.
Yeah, absolutely. And we saw you got pretty lucky. I think off one of those flower selectings there, Anthony was powering up that Radiant Greninja, and he could have just used Moonlight Shuriken for game.
Correct.
But he found that Nest Ball, and we knew you still had that Manaphy in deck, and
correct.
were able to get that bench barrier down. Well, very cool. How long have you been playing the game?
So the last time I played competitive was back in 2015 when Dreamers bought out Hot Comics.
Okay.
So Level Up Games in South St. Paul played competitive with the whole group there, and we went to Worlds that year.
Nice.
So
that's awesome.
That was back when Night March was still a deck.
Yeah.
So, and then my buddy Tyler got his son back in the game and talked me back into it. And since started back up, I got 3rd place in the challenge here. And then over the weekend, I got top 8 at the Cup at South St. Paul with Lost Zone.
Nice. Were you playing Tina there too?
Yes.
Nice. Very cool. Well, congratulations. Are you going for your Worlds invite here this year?
Try to squeeze something.
Yeah.
Hopefully. If not, see how well I do this year, and then hopefully definitely go next year.
Well, very cool. Welcome back to the game.
Yeah.
And hopefully we'll see you here weekly now at the Forge.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks,
Thank
William.
you so much.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Welcome back, Tuesday night Pokemon fans. I had a question, sort of clarifying something from the last match. It did look like there was a double attachment of a Jet Energy and a Water Energy, which unfortunately is not allowed in Pokemon. You can only attach one energy from hand.
So we did rewatch the stream. Thanks for the comment there. We did miss that. William did attach a Jet Energy to a Comfy to get into the active spot, retreated out of it into another Comfy. Off that flower selecting, he found a Water Energy and then attached that Water Energy to his Greninja, which is what enabled him to win the game on the last turn. So we did remedy that situation. Unfortunately, that turns into a double game loss. Nothing malicious there, I don't think, from William at all.
Yeah,
it just happens that you just forget. You're doing so much switching. You play so many switching cards, switch cards, escape ropes. You never really know how many energies you have attached. And that's just something as a player you have to keep track of, because if you do end up doing that, that is a game loss.
It is indeed.
There's just nothing you can do about it. Might not be a game loss. If it's caught in time, maybe it's a double prize penalty, something like that.
Game state advances,
it's
though,
definitely,
there's no going back.
yeah, it's definitely going to be a penalty. So we did get that situation remedied, and but definitely nothing malicious there.
We touched on that a little bit too, on the mental power it takes to play Lost Box consistently. If you're making all those decisions over and over and over again, occasionally you make a wrong decision, or you see something you shouldn't, or you do something that's not quite legal. And that's one of the challenges with Lost Box.
Yeah.
People that are really good at playing it can play it fast, don't make any mistakes, make good choices, but occasionally you just slip up and that can cost you.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's good to do it at locals, though.
Yeah.
Don't do it at a regional.
Yep. Got to learn those lessons early on. Now, speaking of Lost Box, going into round 3 here, we have Wyatt versus Tyler. And Tyler is playing Lost Zone Charizard.
Actually, speaking of people that both make really great fast decisions,
it
these are
is
both
not
Lost
the
Boxes.
Charizard that you would think, though. It is Charizard EX. A lot of the times when we say Lost Zone Charizard, we're talking about Sablezard, using that Radiant Charizard. But this is Charizard EX, using that Lost Zone engine to dig deeper into the deck, find those rare candies, and I mean, what's scarier than a 330 HP Pokemon that has Sableye in the back line to Lost Mine you?
Well, good news for Wyatt. He starts with a Klefki.
Yeah.
That is the arch nemesis. That is the kryptonite to the Lost Zone decks. Disabling basic Pokemon abilities.
Yeah.
So that Comfey is not doing any flower selecting.
Absolutely. So Wyatt with a very good start here. Wyatt on this Arceus Klefki deck, which we haven't seen in a while, but Wyatt has been piloting it recently, and it's a very strong deck against these Lost Zone engines. Those Klefkis shut off, like you said, John, those Comfy's flower selecting abilities, which is the whole point of these Lost Zone decks.
He just buys you time. He gets all set up when he wants to. He pulls that Klefki back, and he just starts firing off.
Now, the thing for Wyatt here is he did not find another Klefki, so if Tyler does have an escape rope in that opening hand, he could get that Klefki out of the active position, which would turn his abilities back on. That Klefki's ability only locks out your opponent's abilities as long as that Klefki is in the active position. But Wyatt had a very good turn. Other than that, he got the energy attachment onto the Arceus V, and he's got an Ultra Ball in hand plus a double turbo energy for next turn to get that Arceus V-Star ready to go.
Seeing a Colruyt in Tyler's hand, going to let him see a few cards. Maybe he can get something to remove that Klefki from the active.
Kind of an awkward thing here, though, for Tyler. That Artizone does help him find a second Comfy, but it's going to allow Wyatt to find a second Klefki on his next turn.
Artisan, you can find any non-rule box Pokemon beneath a certain HP limit. Klefki does qualify for that. So he is actually handing Wyatt you don't have to worry about an escape rope.
Yeah.
Iono coming down, though. Everyone's going to put their hands at the bottom of the deck and see 6 new cards. No prize cards have been taken. A lot of energy in Tyler's prize cards. Nothing super terrible. Maybe the Charizard EX. He's going to play at least 2, right?
Yeah, I believe Wyatt did draw into the Arceus V-Star there, though, off of that Iono. But Tyler has Rare Candy Colruyt in hand, so if Wyatt doesn't take out that Charmander, Tyler is going to be able to hopefully find that Charizard EX plus the Rare Candy. And the thing is, you're using this Lost Zone engine to get a couple of things going in this Charizard EX deck. It means that you can use Sableye to finish off Pokemon that you didn't one-shot with Charizard. Helps you dig deeper into your deck to find the Rare Candies to evolve your Charmanders into the Charizard EX. But the thing is, you don't necessarily need to get that Lost Zone engine going to start attacking, because as long as you find Rare Candy Charizard, that Charizard EX's Infernal Rain ability can get
Lots
you
of
3
energy
into play, and you don't even need to have 7 in the Lost Zone yet. But Wyatt
Path to the peak
perfect play,
right
he's got
away.
Boss's Orders, going to take out that Charmander, Path to the Peak, and now not a lot going here for Tyler, except that Klefki is at least out of the active spot, so his flower selectings are active again.
Another Charmander coming down. They'll use that Artisan to go find the Pokemon that he needs. Colress, going to see 5 new cards. 2 of them going in the Lost Zone. No cards in the Lost Zone so far.
Yeah.
That Klefki really slowing him down.
Finding 2 Battle VFP pass off that Colress, but given that it's not Tyler's first turn
Easy
anymore,
choice.
no reason to keep him. And the interesting thing here that Wyatt has to keep in mind is the more knockouts he takes, the more powerful Tyler's Charizard EX has become. That Charizard EX has an attack. Burning Darkness does 180 damage, plus 30 more for each prize card
So
your
the
opponent
better
has
you
taken.
do, the worse it gets for you.
Yeah. So Wyatt really just has to continue to target down these Charmanders before they can evolve.
Last turn did see Wyatt go use Arceus V-Star ability, going to find any 2 cards he wants. Pretty useful ability. I think he grabbed a Path of the Peak just to turn off that Charizard. Charizard, when it evolves, can go get a bunch of energy, distribute it kind of how it likes. The thing is, Path of the Peak turns that off.
Yep.
So right now, Tyler's looking for a way to get rid of that or just figure something out.
Flower selecting into 2 fire energy there for Tyler.
Didn't find the Charizard EX. Got the Cram in hand if he can get that 4 in the Lost Zone.
And it looks like he
Struggling a
does
little
have
bit,
the
though.
switch cart here to switch into that other comfy, get that 4th card in the Lost Zone.
on,
Then he has
Charizard.
Escape Rope, but if he Escape Ropes, Wyatt can just send up that Klefki, and Klefki shuts off Cramorant's ability as well.
So it's stall keys versus Tyler's please stop stalling me deck.
But Tyler can attach Retreat here if he wants. He also has Switch Cart potentially in hand, so he could switch into that Cramorant and take the or do 110 damage to that Arceus.
Looks like
which
Wyatt's
is pretty
getting ready
nice
for that.
because then when the Charizard EX gets into play, it can finish off that damage and take the knockout on that Arceus V-Star.
See in the Power Lost Box, lots of options. And then you've got that big old Charizard if you can get that fired up with something getting rid of that Path of the Peak.
Yeah.
Tip, traditionally any Charizard EX Lost Box is playing Lost Vacuum to just grab it and throw it in the garbage.
I think they play 1 Lost Vacuum at least. Not entirely sure what Tyler's full list looks like, but Wyatt, going over to his side of the field, has that Judge in hand and another Arceus V, getting all of these Pokemon powered up, going to have a bunch of attackers, and then the name of the game for Wyatt is just continuing to disrupt Tyler's hand and make it more difficult for him to get those Charizard EXs into play.
Judge a little bit different from Iono. Judge, you're going to shuffle your hand into your deck. Usually the player's invited to cut, and then you draw the top 4, both players getting 4 cards.
Yeah.
Playing against Tyler, playing against Wyatt, both of these players extremely experienced. Wyatt especially, just missing top 8 at a cup this last weekend. Tyler from the MTG scene coming over and absolutely wrecking me with his Arceus deck a couple weeks back. So really competitive players. You can see by the speed in which they're going through their decks, the speed at which they're organizing. These guys really know what they're doing. It's kind of cool to see.
Yeah, absolutely. So Wyatt using that Trinity Nova attack to KO that Cramorant, and if he had any energy left in deck, he could have attached up to 3 basic energy to another of his V Pokemon. But no energy left in deck for Wyatt. They're all already out on the field.
That's Arceus' biggest ability. And once you attack with that, you can put 3 energy to your V Pokemon any way you like. It's a lot of fighting energy.
Yeah.
It's kind of intimidating. Let's look at those Arceuses. There's that other V up there. Is that Aerodactyl V?
That is an Aerodactyl V.
A
So
lot of 2 prize liabilities on Wyatt's bench, though. Tyler maybe get a little creative. Wyatt, though, already taking 2 prize cards.
But Tyler in a tough position here, that Path to the Peak, turning off abilities, but he has the Raihan, which could go find him Rare Candy if he has the Charizard, but that Charizard's ability is turned off because of the Path to the Peak. So not in a perfect position here yet. It looks like he does have the Charizard EX in hand. The question is, what does Tyler choose to go find off that Raihan? Raihan, a supporter that lets you attach a basic energy from your discard pile to one of your Pokemon if one of your Pokemon was KO'd on the last turn, and then search your deck for any 1 card.
Did we just see Wyatt scoop?
I think Tyler just scooped.
Okay.
Well, I think Tyler scooped because he just had no attackers.
Maybe we'll see a game, too.
Yeah, we'll see if they want to run it back. Let's just confirm maybe what fully happened there, and we'll be right back.
Sure. Brief break. Be right back, Pokemon fans.
All right, welcome back here. We did confirm that Tyler scooped to Wyatt there. Just a tough start. Wyatt able to open that Klefki, turning off all of Tyler's abilities. He needed to find escape rope on that opening turn.
It's called
to
art
start.
keys for a reason.
Yeah, yeah.
It's aiming for that lost box.
Just couldn't quite get there, so scoop to Wyatt there, knowing that the game was pretty much over from there. But we did talk to him. They're going to run it back for a game 2. And Tyler's deck is very cool. Just want to see it in action more, and maybe he can get around those Klefkis this game.
If you can get out, if you can get that Charizard EX down and get that energy flying around, the deck is absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
A really cool little variant of both getting cards out and having lots of options.
Absolutely.
Wyatt's deck almost custom built to disable this deck, though. It's a really tough
Yeah,
matchup.
pretty much. But both of
Mulligan
our
on both
players
sides?
with a mulligan here, so Tyler's just crossing his fingers, praying that Wyatt doesn't open one of those.
You just got to
Klefkis.
prize both your clef keys.
Yeah. Well, this deck plays 4. It actually, I think it plays 9 basic Pokemon, and 4 of them are Klefkis.
Well, it is possible for you to
Yeah,
prize all 4 your clef keys.
that's
I
true.
have played a Lugia game where I prized all my Lugias.
That's true. That's true. So
Sit back and enjoy
you
the
never
view.
know.
All right, wait for them to get their shuffling done. Wyatt, a pro shuffler. Tyler, more of a mashed together shuffler. Is Tyler wearing 2 watches?
Well, he's got to know Eastern time versus Pacific time. I think.
I think that other one is not a watch.
No, I think it's just bracelet.
It's pretty cool though.
It is cool. All right, so players shuffling up here. Got a question here. Is there a standard shuffling technique? There is not. Most players do the mass shuffle because they think it's quicker. I like to riffle and bridge. That's kind of my preferred way to go about it. But a lot of people mix it up. They'll do some mass shuffles, riffle shuffles, table shuffles.
Some players like myself who don't like destroying their cards don't do the riffle shuffle.
Yeah, I always have
Little bit
said
of
the cards
controversy
are made
between-
to be played.
That's
you know?
true. It's very true.
So it's kind of like a sign of greatness when you look at the back of your cards and they've got like creases in them because you've riffled them so much.
You're going through a lot of sleeves that way.
Yeah.
Second mulligan for Wyatt. See how this third one goes.
Does not open. Wait, did he open Klefki?
It did look like he had an Aerodactyl V.
It looked like an Aerodactyl V, but then I saw a flash of purple, so now I'm not sure. And it is the
it is a
Klefki.
Klefki.
Tyler's just like, all right,
Man.
GG's. Opens Cramorant. Tyler does have Colress, though, here to start his turn, and it looks like an escape rope potentially in hand.
All right.
So the game,
Second Klefki goes down.
well,
Working
so
around that.
Wyatt is now rope proof, and Tyler is
He's
saying,
smiling.
why did I agree to play a second game?
Tyler, we are so sorry. We were hoping he would prize all 4 of them for you.
Yeah, we kind of did a little rain dance beforehand, hoping, saying a little prayer for Tyler, but no luck here. Wyatt getting that perfect turn 1, 2 Klefkis down, Arceus V, energy attachment, and
Klefki also having an attack, doing 10 damage, and you can get rid of your opponent's, I believe, tools.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's all it takes.
Yeah. Tyler with this Colress here, finding another Colress. It looks like a Charizard EX, Psychic Energies.
1 Comfey hanging out on the bench, currently not allowed to do anything. Also like to point out that with the Klefki in the active, Cramorant does require 3 energy, even with 4
Yeah. That's
in
one
the
of the
lost
tough
zone.
things about the Klefki. You're like, well, at least I can KO him with nothing. You can't use
cannot.
that Cramorant. It shuts off the Cramorant's
Got to have that
ability.
Mirage Gate and the attachment in the hand to use that Cramorant.
Yeah. You basically, your best bet against these Klefkis is start scratching them with a Sableye.
So you could, oh god, I forgot Sableye has an attack he can actually use.
It has another attack. So the funny thing is about Sableye is if you declare Lost Mine
Yes.
and your opponent goes, wait, you don't have 10 in the Lost Zone, you've now entered your attack phase. And so you can't undo that.
You've
And because
declared
you
the
don't have
attack.
10 things in the Lost Zone, you have to choose another attack because you've entered the attack phase. And so people just have to scratch with the
love
with the
it.
Sableye.
It would
And
be great
doing
if someone's-
20 damage to the active is way worse than spreading 12 damage counters.
Well,
across the
don't make
board.
mistakes
Yeah.
then, Tom.
Yeah, that daily tips from John. Don't make
Just don't make mistakes. Don't misplay.
However, Wyatt misplaying here in the fact that he doesn't have a way to find an Arceus V-Star, and that means that Wyatt is not going to get an attack off this turn, and Tyler has the Rare Candy Charizard EX, going to be able to search his deck for 3 Fire Energies, attach them to his Pokemon in any way he likes, which means a Fire Energy can go on this Charizard, another Fire Energy on the Cramorant.
Who needs
to
Comb
retreat
Phase when
it.
you have Charizard?
Exactly, and Tyler is ready to go. There's no way for Wyatt to one-shot this Charizard EX. He has to two-shot it, and this Charizard is going to be putting in a lot of work for Tyler here.
Klefki was great for Wyatt. finding that Charizard EX without the Path to Peak in play. We're going to see 3 Fire Energy get distributed throughout the board, however Tyler would like. Grabbing another Comfey.
Yeah. So
This
getting
point,
these-
hunting down a boss or an escape rope.
Yeah, I think he's actually probably kind of happy to knock out this Klefki here. It means that his escape ropes are more active later in the game, and he also has this Colress, so he just straight had that rare candy Charizard EX.
That was another
And
Charmander rare candy?
I think so.
Wow.
Battle VIP pass, which is an easy thing to get rid of here off of this Colress.
Raihan in hand, going to allow him, if something goes down, to go find whatever he needs.
And I think that's why he got rid of that rare candy, because he already has the Raihan in hand. So you can Raihan onto that Charmander and then use that Raihan to find the rare candy.
Get that Klefki out of there. Taking 1 prize card for Tyler. Was not looking good, and then all of a sudden it was looking great.
Now it's looking just fine. And so that Charizard using that Burning Darkness attack, doing 180 damage, taking out that Klefki, and Wyatt top decks that Ultra Ball, allowing him to go find this Arceus V-Star, which happens to be a good card because it has a one-time ability that lets you search your deck for any 2 cards you want.
Indeed.
Now, I...
Not doing a lot of damage, though. With
not
that double
doing a lot
turbo,
of damage,
doing
but
200
it's not going to get one shot back by this Charizard EX, which is nice. And Wyatt can utilize that V-Star power, Starbirth, that Starbirth ability, going to allow him to search his deck for any 2 cards, and it looks like it's just going to be a Judge Path, which is always a strong combination against these Lost Box decks.
It does. You judge them down to 4 cards, 4 new cards, and then you just say, hey, you don't get to use
Yeah.
your rule box Pokemon anymore.
Yeah. One of the things Wyatt could have done there before using that path is he could have used Artisan to get a second Klefki out. There's no reason necessarily to get a second Klefki out other than to be a little bit more rope proof.
Faith in the
But
deck out a little bit, so you draw into something
Yeah,
more.
it doesn't really skew the prize trade at all either, though, because if Tyler KOs 3 Klefkis, he still has to KO 2 V-Stars.
Indeed.
Know?
The prize march is tough when they're only putting out single prizers for you, and you're leaving out big Charizard liabilities in the active. We were talking earlier, it seems like everyone has played Charizard, and then we've moved away from it a little bit. So it's interesting to see a new Lost variant with Charizard in it as the star.
And this did there was a large special event in Spain over the weekend.
Did this win Barcelona?
And it did not win Barcelona, but I believe it got top 4.
Wow.
So that is kind of one of those things where we see Charizard. It started strong in the Obsidian Flames format. People found out maybe we just haven't found the right way to build it. Didn't do well at Pittsburgh at all. So people are kind of like, Charizard is dead. And then we get to Barcelona, and one of the players was able to get top 4 with this Lost Zone Charizard deck, which we had seen doing okay in Japan, but most people had kind of written it off as a little bit gimmicky. But now, we see Tyler playing it, and since it's done well at a tournament, players feel like the deck has proved itself a little bit, and they feel a little bit better about bringing it to
After
tournaments.
Barcelona, seeing a lot more of it at locals. I'm willing to bet we're going to see some of it at Peoria.
Yeah.
Should be interesting to how people mix it up with the new 151 cards.
Absolutely.
All right, I believe that was Iono. Oh, I could be mistaken. Sorry, we were too busy talking about how great Charizard is.
Yeah, I believe Wyatt had judged that turn, and then he's just... Or wait, are we... Oh, I see. Okay. So
Tyler
we
did that
missed
check on
Tyler's turn. Tyler bossed up the Arceus V, hit it with the Charizard EX, but now Wyatt has
Charizard
now
is out.
swung into that Charizard EX twice. It is now knocked out, and Tyler has some decisions to make here. He has that Comfy.
Able to draw now. The Klefki not in the
Yeah.
active.
He's got an escape rope, but doesn't really want to play that because Wyatt will just send up the Klefki.
Indeed. Nest
Gets
Ball to go?
Colress off of that Comfy.
Very nice. Going to go see 5 new cards, I bet.
But Tyler in a tough position. No Charmander's down, so that means no Charizard EX is coming into play on this turn. The best he
Another
could hope
Comfey.
for is to... is that a boss's orders? Because
looks like a
he
boss and a
kind of
Comfey.
needs a boss's orders to KO that benched Arceus V with the Cramorant.
Any point in going after the Klefki, so he has more room to work with the
He
escape
can't
rope?
go after the Klefki because Klefki shuts off the Cramorant's ability.
That's a good point.
Which is one of the most annoying things about the Klefki. It is surprising that we didn't see Klefki see a ton of play when it first released. It was not until sort of the end of the Scarlet and Violet format that this Arceus Klefki deck appeared, and one testing group, I believe, did really well with it. I think the Indianapolis regionals or Fort Wayne regionals back in
April.
April, yeah.
Yep.
And that
Actually,
came-
Fort Wayne was just before Scarlet and Violet was released. It was the last one.
So it was Milwaukee?
I think
Was
so.
it Milwaukee? Yeah. And then going into the Paldea Evolved format, Klefki wasn't nearly as useful because the Gardevoir became a lot stronger with the release of Iono, and Gardevoir decks weren't really affected that much by Klefki, so it just became
like
less of a reason to play it. And we have a comment here: isn't Klefki just a literal keyring? And
it is
yes,
indeed.
it is indeed,
And that's
just
why
a
it's the
keyring.
best Pokemon.
Yeah. It is a fairy steel type. It
Fairy
is like
type.
a.
Rest in peace.
It's like sometimes like an inanimate object that has come to life, they choose to make it a fairy type. Otherwise, it's just probably like a ghost type. It's either a fairy type thing or it's like a item that's been possessed by like a dead spirit.
I think they're running out of ideas for Pokemon, so they just see keys in the office.
How can you say that? Have you seen some of the new Pokemon? Have you
my favorite
not
Pokemon.
seen Tinkaton?
Tinkaton is cool, but the names are just ridiculous. Anyway, bring it back to the game here.
You miss
Why-
the days of them calling things seal.
Indeed. Or Wug Trio, which is totally different from
Wugtrio.
Doug Trio.
Yeah,
Wug Trio, one of my favorite decks, by the way.
it's
I
a pretty
love
cool card.
featuring Mill.
We've kind of gotten behind in the game here, but I think the story of the game right now is that Wyatt is winning. Unfortunately, he has 2 powered up Pokemon. No way for Tyler to one-shot them because there's no Charizards in play. He does have Sableye, but that's Lost
in the
Mine,
Lost
not
Zone.
quite active yet because I believe he has 8 in the Lost Zone. Maybe 9.
Maybe 9. Rooting for Tyler to pull off this win against a deck that seems to be custom designed to defeat him. Gonna go with Comfey for 2 more cards. Seeing a Comfey and
I believe that
Comfey.
was a Sableye.
Sableye?
Yeah, so he's got the Charmander. He's got a Raihan in hand that could help him go find... help him go find Rare Candy or Charizard or whatever extra piece that he needs. But the problem is, does Wyatt just have Boss's Orders to KO that Charmander as soon as it comes down again? Who knows?
Even though Wyatt does not have a lot of draw support, once he gets what he needs in hand, he just kind of hangs out. 10 in the Lost Zone, though.
Yeah, Tyler going in with this Lost Mine attack. He can KO that benched Arceus V-Star, allowing him to take 2 prizes. And one of those prizes is going to be a Charizard
Gonna be a Charizard.
EX, I think. It depends on what order he takes them in. But it should be that Mirage Gate and the Charizard EX. But he chose not to bench that Charmander this turn. If he had benched the Charmander this turn, he'd have the Raihan next turn to find the Rare Candy. But I don't think Tyler's choosing to bench that.
So Aerodactyl V hanging out on the bench, Aerodactyl V-Star hanging out on the bench. What does
Yeah.
Aerodactyl V-Star do?
Aerodactyl V-Star does, I believe, 240 damage for a fighting and 2 colorless energy, and then you lost some of the top 4 cards of your deck. Really, the main reason that Aerodactyl V-Star is in the deck is against these Lost Box decks. It's the only way for you to one-shot a Dragonite V, and it hits weakness on Miraidons, and it also has a V-Star power that says when you use it, it gains an ability that says your opponent's Pokemon in play V in play have no abilities. So it's really the best way for this deck to defeat Lugia V-Star is to use Aerodactyl V-Star's V-Star power before the
Summoning
Lugia V-Star
Star.
uses Summoning Star, and it basically shuts them out of the game completely.
Brutal.
Yeah.
All right, seeing Wyatt do his masterful shuffling there. Pringling his cards just a little bit. Taking
Just a
out
little
this,
bit.
just a little bit. Taking out the Sableye. Tyler promoting another Sableye.
So he's got the Charizard EX, Charmander, Raihan. The question is, does Tyler choose to bench this Charmander this turn? I think he has to. You have to get another Charizard EX in play. There's no way really to win this game just by utilizing Sableye. I don't
Needs to
think.
get rid of that Path to the Peak, though. That Charizard goes out with that Path to the Peak down. It's going to be tough.
Well, he does have the Raihan and a Mirage Gate in
I
hand.
forgot about that.
Yeah.
His Lost Zone.
So it gives him a couple of options. And we're going to see this Raihan come down, though, to power up this Sableye. Now, that Arceus V-Star in the active spot has 11, 13 on it. So there's no way for this Sableye. Wait. Yeah, it has 13 on it. So Sableye can't KO this Arceus here. But the question is, could a Sableye next turn KO the Klefki and the Arceus for game? I think that is actually what Tyler is going
just
for.
get it within, what's that? 3 of being taken out, 280 health on the Arceus V-Star, and the Klefki is
Has
going to be 70.
Yeah.
So 2 Sableyes would win the game
Yeah.
for Tyler.
So Tyler, I assume, has to search his deck here for potentially a Clara if he plays it, although I don't think this deck plays a Clara, so it's probably got to be a Super Rod
And
to
hope.
recycle these Sableyes.
And hope.
Yeah, but he does have that Mirage Gate in hand, which is the retreat out of the Comfy. And so if he can find Super Rod off of this Raihan here, which it looks like he's eyeing up. He can Super Rod back a Fire Energy, a Sableye, and a Psychic Energy, and then he can promote Comfey, hope to find a way to find
Flower
that
select.
Sableye,
Yep.
and then Mirage Gate to power it up.
Sableye. It's the power of options. 12 damage counters however you want. Can set up really powerful plays where you can take 3-4 prizes in one turn.
Yeah, absolutely. So I have 2 Fire Energies. Oh, so the question is he going to bench the Charmander then here?
Going for the Charizard.
Going
Slam
for the
dunk.
Charizard potentially. So is he going to KO the Klefki this turn and then use the Charizard to finish off the game?
That is just the coolest way to do it, though.
That
You
is
just
the coolest way to
Charizard
do it.
just
Going to use the Mirage Gate already on this turn. So we're going to see Fire Energy, and does he have any other energies? Nope, just 1 Fire Energy. Oh, he does have
He's
Water
got 2
Energy in there.
fire.
So probably a Water Energy will go into a Comfey to prepare it to retreat the next turn. And then the question is, can he find that rare candy? Charizard EX already in hand. Wyatt, it doesn't look like he has a Judge or an Iono in that hand. So Tyler's hand probably isn't going to be disrupted here.
So Sableye question here, is he going to place the damage on the Klefki to take that 1 prize card and then set the Arceus up?
Yeah, if he chooses to take that 1 prize card,
Indeed
it's
he
going
is.
to be that Fire Energy he needs to fully power up that Charizard EX if he can find the rare candy.
Find the American Disney Mirage Gate in hand. Oh, Fire Energy is in hand.
Unfortunately for Tyler, Wyatt has Boss's orders to KO the Charmander, but if he chooses to KO the Charmander, then that Sableye can just take the final 2 prizes for game. So Wyatt is in a difficult position here. I think he has to...
So take 2 prizes, 2 turns.
Box of Disaster, not going to do anything here for Wyatt. He's just got to take this KO on the Sableye and hope for the best here. Lost Zone in the top 3 cards of the deck. It was top 3, not top 4, I think I said earlier. And now the question is, can Tyler find that rare candy? If Tyler finds rare candy,
There's Charizard.
he just wins the game here. He has 1 flower selecting, I think, to do it, because I don't believe he has any switching cards in hand. What can he find off this flower selecting? It is a
Jet giving him
energy.
another option to
Jet
attach.
could mean that he could go into another Comfey and find a Colress to dig a little deeper, but then he would need a Stadium Bump plus the Charizard, or plus the rare candy off of a Colress.
Potentially beating a deck that seems to be custom designed to disable
Yeah.
his. Who finds the rare candy?
But he doesn't have the energy.
Oof.
He does not have the energy now. He needs a Stadium Bump, and I don't believe that he has it.
Looking for a Lost Vacuum or another Artisan.
Now, he could just evolve into this Charizard EX and send it up, but we know that Wyatt has that boss's orders waiting in his hand.
Does he have any way to take out that Charizard, though?
He has no way to take out that Charizard, but he can just boss or rope around it, and he has both in hand.
Choosing to evolve. Path to the Big, preventing it from...
So Tyler just passing here. Wyatt has no way to one-shot this Charizard, but Wyatt has that boss's orders in hand to win the game here, to knock out one of those Comfies. Chooses to play the escape rope. It doesn't matter which way to do it. Wins either way, and well played by both players. Tyler finding that
That
Charizard
was
EX
fantastic.
early, very cool to see. Unfortunately, because that path to the peak was in play and Tyler had no way to bump it, he couldn't take that KO. But if Tyler had found a way to power up that Charizard EX there on that last turn,
Yep.
he would have been able to one-shot that Aerodactyl V-Star.
It's still pretty cool to see Tyler going it again, just fighting against those Klefkis, not being able to do the draw support that he needed to play the game. But Wyatt and Tyler, both obviously very skilled players. Glad we convinced him to play again. That was a much better game than the first one.
Absolutely. Very
Uh,
fun to see, and we'll be back here soon with our winners interview.
Cheers.
Welcome back to Tuesday Night League night here at the Forge. We are here with our champion, Wyatt. Wyatt, congratulations.
Thank you.
So piloting that Arc Keys deck, that's not something we've seen in a while, but took you all the way to a 3-0 tonight.
Yeah, luckily I hit good matchups, so
Yeah.
that's what I was praying for.
Now, I have to ask you, because you're kind of like our resident Lost Box enthusiast, and yet you decided to go to the dark side and start playing Klefki. Why is that?
Because it's just good.
Yeah,
Klefki's good.
Are you sick of flower selecting?
Yeah.
You'd much rather Starbirth?
Yeah, I'd much rather stop them from their own doom of flower selecting.
Yeah, well, very cool. What were your other matchups tonight? We obviously saw that Lost Zone Charizard deck on the last round, but what else did you see tonight?
Round 1, I played against Rapid Strike with the Urshifus and the
That's
the
actually
frogs.
a pretty tough matchup.
It is, but I do play the one of Sharon's Care, which helped me in game 1.
Yeah, that definitely helps.
And I played 3 V-Guard, so they can't just Gale Thrust
Yeah,
it.
absolutely. And then what was your other matchup?
My other matchup was Jolteon VMAX.
Well, the Aerodactyl takes care of that
Yeah.
pretty quick, doesn't it? Well, very
And the
cool.
Klefkis, too. They can't ride on.
Yeah. Well, is there anything you want to tell our viewers tonight?
Not really. Just shout out to the Forge for hosting this event. It's always fun.
Absolutely. No shout out to your girlfriend?
Yeah, shout out to Vivian.
There you go. All right, well, maybe you'll bring Vivian to the Forge someday.
Maybe.
Maybe not. All right. Well, congratulations, Wyatt. Thank you all for tuning in tonight. Tune in weekly here at the Forge at 6:30 on Tuesdays for our weekly Pokemon stream.
It's always fun.
See you next time.
See ya.